one of my least favorite things in the world is writing essays. And that's something that has followed me from elementary school all the way into university. But I'm not going to be talking about why I don't like essays today in this video. I'm actually going to be talking about something I learned from the teachers that taught me how to write essays back in high school. What we were taught is to have our second best point first, our third best point second, and our best point last. And I'm going to be referring to that as the 2-3-1 rule. This rule has been very important for things that involve conveying a message, and even further into getting work done or structuring your leisure time. In this video, I'll be going over how I have taken advantage of this rule and how you can too. But before I get into that, please consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps out this channel by telling YouTube to send this video out to more people, and I'd really appreciate it. Some of the best movies and TV shows are very easy to get hooked on and love from beginning to end. For me, this includes movies and shows like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Black Sails. They start off well and end even better, taking you on a fantastic journey that makes you love and hate characters, learn every detail of a plot, and make it a part of you. Shows that fail to make an impact on viewers tend to lack at least one of two things: a good beginning to hook you on watching more, or a good ending to tie up loose ends and make you feel fulfilled with the conclusion. How does this tie into the 2-3-1 rule? Well, let's start off by explaining the serial position effect. The serial position effect is the tendency for a person to recall the first and last pieces of information in a sequence best, and the middle items worst. The tendency to recall earlier information is called the primacy effect, and the tendency to recall the later information is called the recency effect. 2-3-1 rule takes advantage of this by putting the least important point in the middle where it is least likely to be remembered, while putting the most important points at the beginning and end, while making sure that this applies to your speech or an essay or a movie. You don't want to have your first point be your weakest because it's very important to hook your audience right away. It's also very important to have a strong conclusion. Unlike season 8 of Game of Thrones, for example, a show that I couldn't wait to add to my list of shows and movies to binge every single year, but I can't now because I'm too disappointed with that ending. The 2-3-1 rule works really well for movies, essays, and speeches because you were trying to engage people, but I've actually found a lot of success by using it in different ways as well. Instead of having the numbers 2, 3, and 1 represent the positions for your best points for an essay or a public speech, for example, try using it for how much you enjoy something or what you find least difficult when it comes to completing a task. One way I've used this rule differently is when it comes to tasks. A tendency I always had was to complete the easiest task first and leave the harder tasks for later. And on the flip side, when trying to do the hardest task first and the easiest task last, I ended up pushing things off more. It is a small change, but the 2-3-1 rule has allowed me to keep my motivation higher and burnout rate lower than previously before. Because by using it, I found that I start off doing a task that is moderately easy enough to have the motivation to get started. Then with the momentum of being productive, I continue to complete the least enjoyable task next, while looking forward to the easiest and most enjoyable task which comes at the end. This rule applies, of course, if you have 3 things to do or 3 points to make in an essay. And if you have more than 3 things, then make sure you keep the same structure. This rule has helped me make a few simple changes in my life, from making better speeches to making better ads for my e-commerce stores. And I'm sure there are many different ways that it can benefit you as well. So the next time you have a bunch of things to do in a day, or you have a TED Talk, consider the 2-3-1 rule. That's the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you got value out of this content, please consider liking and subscribing down below. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn. The links are in the description down below. Take care for now and stay practical.
Yeah, your heart is a sun and it shines as it opens.
Where your heart is a sun and it shines as it opens.